Hey y'all, I'm Phyllis and my website is southernfrugal.com. This afternoon, it's pretty late, let's see, it's right at 6 o'clock. We're going to make another pie in this series for those who work, and quick ways of making things like pies and also just meals that you can fix quickly. Now I wanted to tell you that, this is the rest of that rump roast. So what we had for our main meal of the day today was, I call it Philly cheese sandwich. It's onions and peppers, which I sauteed in butter a little bit, and then I sliced off of this roast with a ceramic knife. The slices so thin that they actually curled up. It did take a while to slice them off, but I mixed that with the peppers and the onions on the sandwich. Now the onions and peppers, of course, having been sauteed, and I put baby Swiss cheese on it, and the bread I used was thick sliced Italian bread. So that made a meal, and we are still full. We actually ate early today, about 1 o'clock, and it just made a great meal. So we didn't have dessert because, of course, the meal was so filling. So we're going to fix the dessert for tonight, and this is one of Mr. Bucky's favorites. So what we've got is a can of the Comstock apple pie filling, or they say it could be a topping for something like a cheesecake or something. I also had a question, and I did answer this, on what kind of can opener I use. This is OXO, and I got it from Amazon. Now Mr. Bucky actually got this from me. I had one, and it didn't last but about 2 years, but this one I think has lasted over 3 years now. So what it does, and we're going to open this apple pie filling now, is it dislodges the top of the can from the bottom, and there's actually a glue in there. And so what it does is mashes them and just gets that lid off. I think I've demonstrated this before, but anyway, I love it. We got rid of our electric can opener literally a long time ago, and this is the first can opener we found that super works. So it's got a little hook on it right there, and you just take that and hook it on the lid, and there's your can. You don't have any sharp edges at all. So what we're going to do with this, well, first let me tell you, I've already taken out the Pillsbury pie crust. And if you were having this, if you took it out as soon as you came in from work, because it only has to be out about 30 minutes, you'd be in good shape. So what we're going to do, this has got a lot of fluid in it, and it's a modified food starch, which is really basically like cornstarch. So we're going to dump this in the bowl over a strainer, because I want to get a lot of this liquid out, because we're going to make the same kind of half pie that we made with meat filling and the ham and cabbage filling. So this is I'll have to tell you about my little strainers too. These are the very fine strainers. And so what I'm going to do is get right much of that liquidy filling out. And by the way, that smells really good. The apple smells super good. So I'm taking probably maybe a third of that liquid out of there. It's not really liquid, it's kind of a thickener that they use. So that's probably enough right there. So there's how much came out. Oops, that dropped on my finger. And it's delicious. Alright, so we're going to set that aside and go ahead and take out our pie crust. We're going to do this just exactly the same way as we did the meat pies, only this is going to be for dessert. It doesn't want to come out of there. There we go. open that up a little more. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and lay it on our little sheet pan. Now I have used Crisco down to, because I want to make absolutely sure this does not stick to my pan. Just a thin coating of shortening there will work. All right, so we're just going to roll this crust out. Yeah, that Philly cheese sandwich was just super filling, and it was delicious. Yeah, with that rump roast, you can slice them really thin as long as the rump roast is cold. So by the way, that rump roast, I paid $12 for it, and it will make 6 meals or 6 servings. So me and Bucky, Mr. Bucky, can eat on that 3 different times. So it is, I had frozen the last part of, which was about 1/3 of that 2-pound roast, and we'll make something else out of that later on. We don't want to do something like the very next day. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and put this on this crust now. And by the way, if you were making an actual apple pie with double crust, you would definitely need 2 cans of this. There's part of a little seed in there. So I'm going to spread that out, not going, leave about 1 inch from the edge. And also I've got my oven preheating to 425 degrees. I've had it on for probably 5 or 6 minutes now. All right, so if you wanted to put some extra spices like a little bit of nutmeg and maybe a little bit of cinnamon if you like them spicy, this would work. So I'm going to just barely put a little bit on there. And I do love nutmeg, so we're going to put just a teeny bit of nutmeg. Very teeny bit. Teeny ninety little bit. All right, and now, I mean, what is an apple pie without some butter on the inside? This is about a tablespoon of butter, and I just cut it up in little squares to dot it around on this filling. And by the way, this of course does not have to cook as long as a frozen apple pie would have to cook, like a Mrs. Smith frozen apple pie. All right, so all we have to do now is pull that over. I'm going to mash that crust together all the way around. And again, one of my favorite parts of a pie like this is the crust. Now I'm going to go ahead and mash it. Now somebody told me I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm sorry, I have to do it to make positively sure it does not leak out the bottom. Just mashing it with the fork, dipping the fork in a little flour so it doesn't stick. Like that. And then I'm going to take that and just kind of roll it up a little bit, pinch it even more together. Kind of get it up off that pan like that. Yeah, this is really, really quick, y'all. Really quick. Now you do have to drain some of that fillings juice or whatever it's called, because it will be too much and it will probably run out. So you need to take about half that juice out for sure. Now when I made the one of the other pies, I don't even remember which one it was now, I made my air vents too low and it ran out a little bit on both sides, so we want to avoid that this time. All right, I think I've got it sealed up pretty good. So what we're going to do, now you can sort of tell it's airtight. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put some vent holes in, like that. This time I'm just going to leave them in the middle. I'm not going to put any toward the edge because I don't want it might bubble out a little bit, but if it did, it wouldn't be much. All right, so this is going to go in the oven for about 30 minutes. And then we'll be ready to serve this to Mr. Bucky with some ice cream. Vanilla ice cream, that's what he wants. So, all right, y'all, we'll be back in 30 minutes. All right, we are back, and that pie is almost ready to come out of the oven. I did check it, and it looks like it split a little bit on the back side, but no mind, it'll still be good. I wanted to come back and mention about the can opener. Let me get it out again. I think I have talked about this can opener. Let me show you up close what it looks like. All right, you can get this on Amazon now. I do remember on Amazon, apparently a lot of people ordered it, and they were out of stock several different times, but this is called, it's OXO. I don't know, is that OXO? I'm not sure, but it's, let's just call it that, OXO Good Grip Smooth Edge Can Opener. That's what it's called on Amazon. And now it's $21. Before, I think the first one I got was much cheaper than that, but I really can't remember because it's been a while. But what it does is disconnects the edge of the can with the lid, because that is really just glue in there. And so then the top of the can is not sharp or anything. I really love it. It works great. All right, so I think my buzzer's getting ready to go off. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, here's the pie, and it did turn out pretty good. I'll hold it up, it's still really hot. It did crack just a little bit there, that crust. So you might, if y'all make this, take a little more of that filling out of it. Not the apples themselves, but that liquidy kind of filling that's in it. So we're going to let this cool really maybe about 10 minutes. Because I just want it barely warm when I put it in the bowls and put the ice cream on it. All right, so we're just going to let it cool. Now what I was going to do is lift that up on this little cookie cooling wire thing. In fact, I still might want to do that. Let's see if we... Yeah, we're going to do that. Hold on, let me get my other spatula. All right, I'm going to use this metal spatula, so y'all close your ears. You might hear some metal on metal. So I'm going to see if I can get that up. There we go. Mainly because I want that bottom crust kind of crunchy too. All right, y'all, we're going to let it cool. Let's say 10 minutes, and we'll be back. All right, this is cooled for about 10 minutes, and as I was scooting it off the little wire rack, it kind of cracked there, but that's okay. So we're going to cut this. Now, it could be a serving for 4 people if you just cut it right down the middle. Cut it like that. Now that crust is very flaky. And then like that. So that could definitely work for 4 people. I feel certain it could. All right, let's get this in the bowls. I'll give Mr. Bucky this bigger piece. See? Oh. Well, we didn't hurt it too much. All right, there it is in the bowl. And I'm going to take a much smaller one, like this one on the end. Yeah, let's see, that would be enough for 2 more people for sure. So we're going to put some of the ice cream on this now. Well, Actually, I'm gonna try putting it on the side. There we go. Mr. Bucky always wants 2 scoops. This is that vanilla bean ice cream, Great Value brand, which I think tastes better, or certainly as good as the Best brand. And I'm just going to take 1 scoop, like that. All right, I got to put this back in the freezer. We're going to take this into Mr. Bucky and see what his reaction is. So we'll be back in just a minute. I got to get the camera off the tripod. All right, there are the dogs in Mr. Bucky's chair as usual, and he's going to give it a taste. Is it still warm?
Apple powered ice cream. Well, my favorite.
Is it your favorite?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Really, Mr. Bucky, aren't all the desserts I fix, don't you always say that's your favorite?
No, not really.
You do.
This is super.
Yeah, so those apples are really good, huh? All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.